So that was it. There was John Cena's final match. Farewell tour is over with the conclusion of Saturday night's main event, and yeah, I gotta say I was a little disappointed. So if we go by it step by step, we opened up with Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. Totally flew against the sources that I had that. I can't remember where it was now, but I heard the sources that John Cena against Gunther wasn't going to main event. But it's not a major issue. I think that in terms of not necessarily the potential, or should I say, in hindsight, the potential in-ring performances that we had here. These were the two biggest matches, but in terms of certainly the star power that the Cody Rhodes and Obafemi and John Cena against Gunther were definitely the two biggest matches that you had on your card. So in a typical WWE 2K fashion, they should have been the opening and the close of a match of the event, which is what we got here. So it's not really a talking point. So yeah, we opened up with Cody Rhodes and Obafemi. We had Obafemi quite typically get kind of a dominating this match, which I think was kind of like expected, but also because of like Obafemi's dominance during this match, I kind of like expected that maybe it was going to go against my predictions. I had taken an outside chance in my predictions video where Obafemi was going to win this match, and because of Obafemi's dominance during this match, it sort of made me kind of doubt that. It made me kind of think that maybe we were going to get a Cody Rhodes win here, just because that's kind of like in typical WWE fashion. But no, what we actually got here was we got a Drew McIntyre intervening, causing the disqualification. And anybody who would see my review of SmackDown would know that out of all the potential returns or surprises or distractions or whatever that we could have potentially got here, I thought that this was the most likely. In that sense, it's not surprising, but it just bummed me out that that it was kind of like facilitated in a way that it ended up in a DQ. I think we could have potentially had this match maybe draw out a little longer. Maybe we could have had this typical scenario of this referee bump where the referee could have been down, and that could have led to Drew McIntyre's opening, and we could have got like more of a conclusion. I mean, that would have led to an Obafemi win. It would have been, like I said, it would have given Cody Rhodes this sort of protection, which I don't think necessarily he needed. But yeah, ultimately, it did kind of bum me out that this did end up in disqualification, especially with this being the opening match. Drew McIntyre's interference was met with a load of boos around the crowd, which I think is kind of like telling, which is not really the response that you want from your opening match. You want this opening match to kind of really set the tone and set the bar and sort of get your audience really pumped up for this event. And yeah, I just didn't think Ellie really did that. I mean, I think the clutching at straws, the one positive that you can take from this is I don't think that this feud, if you like, between Cody Rhodes and Obafemi is done. I can totally see this sort of Oberfemi's dominance and Drew McIntyre's interference opening the door to all these rematches. But yeah, ultimately, I did think Ellie was really did kind of like suck the air out of the atmosphere a bit. So yeah, we moved on to Sol Luca versus Bailey, which I thought was like a really solid match. Kind of played out kind of like how I expected it. We know that obviously Bailey is a real trailblazer in terms of providing this. Providing these really big selling points for getting these young and coming talent totally over, and I think she totally did that. I think this was portrayed in the result of obviously Sol Luca winning, but also just this sheer athleticism that Sol Luca was allowed to display during this match. I think that it just it did just totally put Sol Luca over, and I think that she is a potential to be one of the next in line to be promoted to the main roster. The time will tell. Anyone who's watched my previous videos will know I've always felt that the notion of them being promoted to the main roster is kind of like a double-edged sword, because I think the main roster is so stacked that sometimes getting promoted to the main roster doesn't feel like a promotion. It sounds, but who knows if SmackDown being extended to 3 hours will kind of like go towards resolving some of those issues. But yeah, I thought this match ultimately was everything Ellie needed to be. So we then moved on to the tag team match between AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leland Slater. This was a match I was really kind of like anticipating, arguably even the most. I thought that every single match on this card had the potential to be a real banger, but this was in contention of the ones that I was most anticipating, just because of the sheer in-ring ability that was kind of like on display here with these 4 athletes. They kind of like really encapsulated just the type of wrestling that I really like to watch. I really high flying stuff. And everything that and all of that I admire about these 4 individuals was showcased here. But ultimately, I do think Elliot just was over far too quickly. I think I could have done with a lot more of that. So yeah, I mean, obviously what we got in this match, the in-ring performances that we got in this match, I really enjoyed, but yeah, just could have done with more. And I feel like obviously the cuts that were made to this event, because of like time constraints, this match was the one that kind of drew the short straw in that sense. And yeah, I do think it's a disappointment that that was the case, because you got 4 phenomenal athletes here who just have such tremendous talent, and yeah, I think that they were deserving of more time to kind of like showcase those talents. So we then moved on to obviously our main event between John Cena and Gunther. Like I said, no qualms with this being the main event. In some ways, it makes perfect sense. So absolutely no qualms with that. But yeah, again, another prediction I got totally wrong, because I went into this and there was not a doubt in my mind that John Cena was going to pick up a win here. Just that. and that didn't happen. I mean, one of the things I did predict correctly about this match was we were going to see Gunther largely dominate the match, which is what we essentially saw here. Any offense that we got from John Cena, ironically, kind of was reliant on his signature moves with the AA and STFU and five knuckle shuffle and all that, and we kind of got those moves on repeat. Ironically, kind of like a bit of flying in the face of all that, historical you can't wrestle kind of chants that we used to get from the fans. Obviously, there was absolutely none of that here. This was very much a very pro John Cena crowd, obviously, and maybe tying into that, this was a match we kind of saw Gunther getting the most heat that I think we've ever seen him get in a match, and I think that the occasion kind of obviously plays into that, but like I said, I do think that it's a testament to how great Gunther is as a heel, because he's commented on that himself. Obviously, if people are kind of despising him and everything, that just kind of reaffirms that he's doing his job. He's doing a great work, and you could see that with the crowd absolutely booing him and whatnot, and you could just see that Gunther was just kind of wanted to inject this into his veins and just really kind of make us his lifeblood. But yeah, we did end up with Gunther delivering on his promise. We did end up with Gunther applying the sleeper, causing John Cena to tap out. You could see it reflected in the audience's response. This was just a total shock. It totally sacked the air out, and just in my humble opinion, I don't think it was the right decision. I really don't. I think that there were hypothetical arguments you could make that John Cena losing his final match was the right decision, in a sense that if this match had been against maybe somebody like Dominic Mysterio, maybe even if it was against an NXT star like Ricky Saints or Obafemi or whoever, then I think it could be a solid argument that you could make for John Cena losing this match, because it very much ties into that rhetoric, that narrative that's been that John Cena's essentially been laying down throughout this, which is that the ultimate goal of it was to kind of pass this torch, really, and to kind of give the next generation of star this opportunity that he got. So on that sense, I think that there was an argument that you could make for John Cena losing his final match. I just don't think that Gunther was particularly that person. John Cena, Gunther is obviously a very well established WWE star in his own right. He's like I said, I think that he does phenomenal work as a heel. He had obviously elevated just by landing this opportunity of being John Cena's final opponent. Just got him some real heat, which maybe you could say was maybe in excess, because Gunther has always been effective in generating that heat. I was saying before that previously to this, John Cena had lost his previous match as well to Dominic Mysterio. I think that made some sense, in the sense that I think that it sort of lent into what we were saying before, with that rhetoric and narrative of kind of passing of a torch to the next generation, which I think Dominic Mysterio is going to be this real big up and comer star. I think that in that sense it kind of made sense for him to lose to Dominic Mysterio in that sense. But like I said, and it gives Dominic Mysterio, being the type of heel that he is, that perfect platform where he can just run with this for decades of being like, I was the last person to beat John Cena. And obviously that's not the case now. Sure, it gives Gunther that fuel to be, to kind of make that gloat of, being the last person to beat John Cena. But I think the heat that he gets from that is in excess. Do you know what I mean? Because I always think that Gunther has always been very effective in his heel work and generating heat. So it all feels just a bit excess, and in that sense, the ends doesn't justify the means, in my opinion. I think the pop that you would have got of John Cena triumphing over this heel would have just kind of like outweighed that. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, all in all, guys, I thought this was kind of like disappointing. I do. I'm sad to say. But like I said, I think that there were still, a lot of in-ring performances here in every match that was there to admire. But ultimately, yeah, I think the opener and the closer of this match, the way it played out, I think just kind of sucked the air out of the atmosphere in the crowd, which is not what you want from your opener and main event. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to say but to say thank you, John Cena. Thank you for being the inspiration that you are, not just in the ring, but outside the ring as well. And yeah, thank you for being the legend that you are. Yeah, so yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to ring a bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please feel free to let me know down in the comment section about what your own thoughts were. Really intrigued to get what your thoughts were on this. Yeah, so don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We're always uploading regular WWE and wrestling content up here. So yeah, until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. You guys take care.